A 6-3 Supreme Court ruling just blew up one of the biggest gun carry rules in America. And if you still think your state can demand a special excuse before you carry, you could be living by rules that no longer exist. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed yet? Because this channel is built for people who do not want to learn gun law the hard way. If you care about protecting yourself, your rights, and your freedom, hit that subscribe button right now. Here's what just happened and why people are still confused about it. The case was New York State Rifle and Pistol Association vs. Bruen. In plain English, New York had a rule that said you could not just apply to carry a handgun in public and expect a permit. You had to show what the state called proper cause. That meant more than saying, I want to protect myself. The state wanted a special reason, something above the normal need for self-defense. That sounds small, but it changed everything. Because now the government was not just checking if you were a safe, law-abiding adult. It was asking whether your reason was good enough. And that is the part the Supreme Court rejected. The court said the Second Amendment protects carrying a handgun in public for self-defense, not just inside your home, not just on your land, not just on paper, in public. And the court said ordinary law-abiding people do not have to prove some rare danger before they can exercise that right. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The legal shockwave hit instantly, but not in the way most headlines made it sound. A lot of people heard that ruling and thought, that's it, permits are dead, carry anywhere, game over. No, that is not what the court said. The court did not say every carry permit system is illegal. It did not say every gun restriction vanished overnight. It did not say states must hand you a permit with no questions asked. What it said was much narrower, but still massive. States cannot make you beg for permission by proving a special need that other people do not have. That matters because several states had similar systems. New York was the big target, but states like California, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and places like DC faced the same kind of pressure. So when that decision dropped, lawmakers, police agencies, licensing offices, and gun owners all had the same reaction at once. Now what? Let me break this down for you. First thing, if your state used a may-issue style system where an official could deny you because your reason was not special enough, that system was in trouble fast. Second, if your state already used a shall-issue system where you meet set rules like a background check, fingerprints, or training, Bruen did not automatically kill that system. Third, the court said places like schools and government buildings can still be treated as sensitive places where carry may be banned. And here's the part nobody's talking about. The biggest change was not just the permit issue, it was the legal test. Before Bruen, many courts used a balancing approach. They asked if a gun law served public safety enough to justify the burden. After Bruen, the court said that was the wrong test. Now the government must point to America's history and tradition of firearm regulation to defend a modern gun law. That is huge, because now every major gun case starts with a different question. Not, does this law seem reasonable? But, is this kind of law consistent with historical tradition? That is why challenges exploded after Bruen. Magazine bans, rifle bans, carry location bans, age limits, permit rules. All of it got dragged back into court. But wait. There's something even more important. Just because the legal test changed does not mean you personally became safe from arrest. That is the mistake that gets good people in trouble. Courts move slowly, state legislatures move fast, police follow current state rules until courts stop them. So if you walked outside the day after Bruen and assumed every old restriction was dead, you could still end up in handcuffs while the legal fight played out. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video about the exact words that can save you from making a terrible mistake during a gun stop. Subscribe now so you don't miss it. So what did states do after Bruen? They adapted fast. New York is the perfect example. The state did not just shrug and give up. Lawmakers moved to rewrite the rules. They kept the permit structure but tried to tighten other parts of the system. They focused on training, background checks, character rules, and especially sensitive places. And this is where most people get blindsided. You hear Supreme Court win and you think more freedom. But what often comes next is a whole new map of places where carrying becomes risky. Imagine you finally get your permit. You think you're legal. Then you walk into the wrong building, the wrong business, or the wrong event space. And suddenly the issue is not whether you own the gun. The issue is where you carried it. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Let's say you live in a state with a permit. You take the required class, you pass the background check, you get approved. A few weeks later, you go into the city, you stop for coffee, then you ride public transit, then you go to a medical building to pick up records, then you meet a friend at a sports event. In your mind, you're the same lawful person all day. But depending on the state and the exact law in effect, each stop may raise a different legal question. That is why the phrase, "Can I carry?" is often the wrong question. The better question is, can I carry here right now under this state's current rules with my exact permit status? That is less exciting than a viral headline, but it is what keeps you out of court. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Let me give you the second big takeaway. Bruin protected public carry for ordinary self-defense, but it did not erase the idea that some people can be disarmed or that some regulations can survive. That part matters a lot because a lot of channels skip it. In 2024, the Supreme Court decided United States versus Rahimi. That case involved people under domestic violence restraining orders. The court upheld that federal restriction. In simple terms, the justices said that when a court has found someone to be a credible threat to another person's safety, that person can be temporarily disarmed. So, no, Bruin did not create an unlimited right with no boundaries. Then came more confusion. People saw another gun case, Garland versus Cargill, and shouted, "See, every gun rule is falling." But here's what actually happened. That case was about the federal bump stock rule. The court struck that rule down 6-3, but not because it declared bump stocks protected by the Second Amendment. The court said the agency had gone beyond the words of the statute Congress wrote. That is a different legal issue. And then in 2025, the court upheld federal ghost gun regulations in Bondi versus Vanderstock. That should tell you something important. The post-Bruin world is not simple. It is not all gun laws survive, and it is not all gun laws die. The real truth is messier. Some laws fall, some survive, some get rewritten, some stay in court for years. This is the part that shocked me when I first saw how many people misunderstood it. Most people think the Supreme Court speaks once and everything changes at once, but the truth is more like this. The court sets a rule, then states test the edges. Lower courts fight over the meaning. New lawsuits pile up, and regular gun owners are left trying to guess where the line is. Hey, 73% of people watching videos like this are not subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the gun owners who want the facts before the headlines catch up. Hit subscribe and stay ahead of the next legal change. So what should you do with all this? I want to give you 3 simple action steps. First, know what your permit actually covers. Not what your buddy told you, not what a random comment section said. Read your state police page. Read your attorney general guidance. Read the permit conditions. Some people carry for months and never learn the fine print. Second, study prohibited places before you carry, not after. Here's what most people get wrong. They focus on getting the permit, but they never study the map. Schools, courthouses, some government buildings, and other restricted places can turn a normal day into a criminal case fast. And because states keep changing these lists, last year's answer may already be outdated. Third, never assume another state honors your home permit. Reciprocity rules can change. Transport rules can change. Magazine rules can change. Duty to inform police can change. Have you ever wondered why one driver gets a warning while another gets charged? A lot of the time, it is because one person knew the local rules and the other person trusted internet myths. Imagine you are on a road trip. You lock your handgun in the car at one stop, then move it at another stop, then cross a state line for dinner. Most people think, I'm a good person. I'm not the problem. But the law does not grade on good intentions. It looks at location, timing, possession, storage, and local statutes. If you do not know the rule, here is what could happen. You lose the gun. You get arrested. You spend thousands on a lawyer. You may even risk your future gun rights. Let me give you one more warning. Do not use Bruin like a magic word with police on the side of the road. That is a terrible plan. If you're stopped, keep calm. Follow lawful commands. Do not argue constitutional law in a parking lot. Your goal is safety first, silence where needed, and a lawyer if things go bad. Court arguments belong in court. And here is the crazy part. Even when a law is weak, unclear, or likely unconstitutional, that does not mean you want to be the test case. Test cases cost money, time, stress, and sometimes years of your life. So yes, know your rights, but also know your risk. Laws move fast. Court rulings move slower than headlines. And your freedom sits right in the middle of that mess. Subscribe now, because the next video breaks down the most dangerous carry myths that still get gun owners arrested every single year. So here's the bottom line. The 6-3 Bruin decision changed the country by saying ordinary law-abiding people do not need a special excuse to carry. But it did not create a free-for-all. States still regulate permits. Sensitive places still matter. And later, Supreme Court cases proved that some gun restrictions still survive. If you want straight answers without the hype, hit subscribe and stick with this channel. I want you informed before your next permit class, your next traffic stop, and your next trip across state lines. And remember, this video is for education only, not personal legal advice. If your situation is urgent, talk to a qualified attorney in your state. See 2026 Script Scene Splitter AI GitHub.